Time to welcome in our pal Dave Richard. He is a fantasy football savant for CBS Sports. Dave, good morning.
Gentlemen, hopefully none of your teams are 2-7.
Oh, I've got one that is.
So there's bad news and there's actually good news. The bad news is I think I'm in 15 leagues. I think 2 of my teams are 2-7, and that's gross. And I feel terrible admitting that on live radio. That probably is something I shouldn't have done.
Yeah.
But the weird thing that I've seen in fantasy this year is that there's parity. If you look in your leagues, and we've talked about it before, it feels like there's one team that's ahead of everybody else, and then everybody else is 5-4 and 4-5.
Yeah.
So even if you have 7 losses, I don't think you're out of it yet.
I have a 3-6 team that I look at and I'm like, I really like this team, and they actually score a decent amount of points, and for whatever reason, they're just 3-6.
Yeah. One of the reasons why I've got a 2-7 team is because I had Jonathan Taylor, and Taylor obviously missed the first 4 games and got off to a slow start, and Zach Moss was okay as a replacement. But there's things that have happened all year long that have made it hard to have a great team in fantasy. So if you're out there and you're listening and your team's 4-5, let me just tell you, it could be worse.
Well, it doesn't get much worse than by week 10 because you're missing the Chiefs, you're missing the Eagles. I mean, you're missing some the Dolphins. You're missing high-powered fantasy assets this week.
This is the one league, one team that's 2-7 out of my 7 leagues, okay? Here's my roster, all right? And I don't know how I'm 2-7. I got Mahomes and Prescott. It's a super flex. I got Mahomes and Prescott as my QBs. I've got CeeDee Lamb. I got Brandon Ayuk. I've got Amari Cooper. Here's the problem. I've got Madison and Aaron Jones who've been duds at running back. So it is what it is.
We make this whole big deal in the preseason about how running backs don't matter and 0 RB is the thing. And then you get to week 10 of the NFL season and you go, holy crap, I could use a good running back. And you don't have one because you neglected to draft one. I guess you drafted Aaron Jones with an early pick, and that just didn't work out.
He sucks.
Also, I think you could argue that Mahomes has underperformed.
Yeah.
CeeDee Lamb the last 2 weeks have been amazing, but he's underperformed. Dak got off to a slow start. Everybody has a slow start, or a slow part, I should say, over the course of a football season. No one is red hot all the way through, not even Tyreek Hill. But some of these slow parts that players have are just absolute killers. And when you have too many of them on your team at the same time, that's when you lose.
Speaking of running backs, this is another league, and I'm 4-5, so I've got a legitimate shot at a playoff. I need 2 of these 4. I need 2 of these 4 running backs. Okay, I've got Zach Moss, I've got Deontay Foreman, I've got David Montgomery, I've got Jalen Warren.
You're actually in great shape with Montgomery and Foreman. We learned this morning that Khalil Herbert's not expected to play against Carolina. Short week game. Foreman had a lot of work last Sunday, but that Panthers defense is kind of a wreck right now. They're only strong at safety. They even lost their top pass rusher. The Bears need a win desperately. I would imagine Foreman gets another heavy workload against his former team, by the way, and ends up with a good game. I have him ranked as an RB2. Same thing with Montgomery. They're both RB2s.
Okay.
Hey, Dave, our producer Matt has a 2 of 4 in a full PPR. Addison, Thielen, Ayuk, Tank Dell. Where do you go there?
And listen, I'm always hesitant to sit Tank Dell because last week was an example of just how great he is, but I think the matchup is considerably harder for the Texans this week than it was last week. I would go with Addison, and then there was one other receiver that you named that was just a no-brainer for me. Give me the middle 2 receivers again.
Thielen, Ayuk.
Tank Dell.
I'm
not even starting Addison. I'm going with the 2 middle receivers, Thielen and Ayuk. Ayuk has the same upside, easier matchup against Jacksonville, and Thielen tonight should go back to getting a lot of targets against Chicago.
All right, there you go. All right, let's head to the phones, 800-636-1067. You can ask Dave Richard fantasy lineup questions.
All right, let's go Pastor Jacques. Jacques, what's up, buddy? You're on with Dave Richard.
Good morning, guys. Dave, always a pleasure. And Junks, man, I don't say thank you enough, but you guys do a great job of making radio fun, sports radio. It's amazing.
Thanks, buddy.
So thank you, Pastor Jacques.
Thanks, buddy. What's up?
Hey, a couple quick questions. Would you go with Trevor Lawrence this week or Derek Carr? And then just a side question, is Jahmyr Gibbs a reliable running back even with Monty back? I have them both those running backs in one team. It's a half PPR in one of my leagues. Would you roll with both of them and just get all of the running back points in that situation?
So it really comes down to what else you have at running back. But this week against the Chargers, I don't know if I'd lean so heavily into the Lions' run game. The Chargers have actually been pretty good against the run this year, and they've gotten better. They've got a rookie, Tulio Opu, I think his name, something like that, who's really started to step up. He's made their run defense even better. Kenneth Murray's had a good year. Not saying that you should sit those guys, but they're appropriately RB2s. They're in that same boat as Deontay Foreman, as guys that can get you right around 15 PPR points, and half PPR, that's probably looking more like 12 or 13, and that's acceptable. So it really just comes down to who else you have. As for the quarterbacks, I would start Lawrence over Carr. They both have tough matchups. I feel like Lawrence is just okay this week. Some quarterbacks I like better than both of them who might be on your waiver wire: Sam Howell, Josh Dobbs, Baker Mayfield, Geno Smith. All four of those guys ahead of both Trevor Lawrence and Derek Carr.
All right, good luck, Pastor Jacques.
Thank you.
Hey, Dave, real quick. Every time I look at putting DK Metcalf into my lineup, I go, meh. He has not lived up to where his draft position. He's kind of killing me.
Who does he play this week?
He does play the Commanders. He draws a nice matchup. I do understand that.
Let's call this a make or break week. On our Fantasy Football Today podcast, we call it a Joe Boo week, where if you can't get it done this week, then you know what, Joe Boo, I'll do it myself. And you can not necessarily move on from DK Metcalf, but you know what you're getting with him. This has to be a get-right spot for the Seahawks. And an interesting thing happened in practice with them yesterday. Kenneth Walker did not practice. He has a chest injury. Mm-hmm. His reps have been limited over his last game and a half, and we've seen Zach Charbonnet pick up some meaningful work. If Walker ends up not playing against the Commanders, then this might be a get-right game for Geno Smith. And I already thought that Geno Smith had a shot to be good this week for fantasy. He might be great because he might have to throw a lot more. And you know that Commanders pass rush, secondary, definite issues there. This should be a get-right game for DK Metcalf.
All right, let's go back to the phones.
All right, let's go to John in McLean. John, you're on with Dave Richard.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Hello.
Need one in the PPR. Keaton Mitchell, Amari DiMarcado, Damian Pierce, and I have a quarterback question. I have Josh Allen. Thinking ahead to Week 13 bye, is there anybody I should be looking at picking up on the waiver wire?
Well, the problem with the Week 13 bye is that, first of all, it's 3 weeks from now. Second of all, there's 6 teams on bye then. I like that you want to get ahead of it, and I've got a trusty schedule in front of me. Would you have the guts to go with Bryce Young at Tampa Bay in Week 13? You might want to try and consider something like that. I don't know if Deshaun Watson's on your waiver wire. He's at the Rams in Week 13, if he actually makes it that long. Russell Wilson's at Houston. Handful of guys that are out there. I would also try and get my hands on Josh. I was going to say get your hands on Josh Dobbs. He's got a bye in Week 13. You've got time to work on that with Josh Allen, and you might even be able to swing a trade for it. As for your running backs, I hesitate to say start Keaton Mitchell, those 3 words in a row, because he's just not getting a ton of work, and we don't know what that rotation will be for the Ravens. But of the running backs you named, he might be the only one who plays. DiMarcado, if he plays at all, he'll be a passing downs back. Damian Pierce didn't practice on Wednesday. It sounds like Devin Singletary will be the lead running back for the Texans again this week. You can go ahead and hold on to your bar for that one. Keaton Mitchell's got great upside. He might be the Ravens' version of Devon Achane, but I'm not sure if he's ready to jump into a role where he's getting 50% of the touches moving forward. You know that Gus Edwards will work at the goal line. Justice Hill has been working as a passing downs back. They like Justice Hill. So I just don't know how much is left for Keaton Mitchell that'll give you meaningful fantasy points. But if you're in a pinch, I guess you have to start him.
Good luck, John.
All right.
All right, thanks, buddy. Let's go to Ron in Frederick. Ron, you're on with Dave Richard.
Hey, Dave. Hey, guys. Love the show.
Thanks, man.
Kind of sad I don't get to ask you about Kirk Cousins anymore this year, but got 2 with the Skins game, Howell or Wilson, and Robinson or Walker.
I'll go with Howell over Wilson, and if Walker plays, I'll start him. But I think he's got to get in 2 practices for me to feel good about it. And if he doesn't play, do a double check on your waiver wire to make sure Zach Charbonnet isn't there, because if he is and Walker's out, that dude's going to have a monster game against the Commanders. Robinson would be the guy that you would play otherwise.
Thank you, Dave.
All right, there you go. Let's go to Heather in Dumfries. Heather, you're on with Dave Richard.
Hey guys. Hey,
Hey.
Dave. I need help with my 2-7 team, my 2-7 team. My flex spot, and it's a PPR. I need to play either Cortland Sutton, Jahan Dotson, Alexander Mattison, or Brian Robinson.
I'd go with the upside with Dotson. The last 2.5 games for the Commanders, he's come back to being a regular part of that offense, running downfield routes. And just, again, going back to what I think the Seahawks will do in this game, I think the Seahawks will put up points, and that'll force Sam Howell to throw. And he's had like 40 attempts in like 5 of his last 6 games, something crazy like that. I'll feel even better about Dotson if there is no Curtis Samuel for the game. He would be the one that I would flex. I think he's got the most upside of that group.
Good luck.
Hey, Dave, Gus Edwards or Saquon?
Oh, come on.
What?
Bish, is that a real question?
Why isn't it? I don't know where you're leaning. I don't know where you're leaning.
I'm definitely leaning with Saquon Barkley because I know he'll get more touches than Gus Edwards.
But Edwards just scores
Gus
every week.
has the touchdowns in his favor. Look, this is not going to be an easy matchup for the Ravens. I think you're going to see Gus Edwards. If he doesn't score, what does he give you? 5 fantasy points? Saquon is safer. Let's put it that way. And Saquon's got just as good of a chance, maybe as good of a chance as Gus Edwards to score. I think it's pretty close between those two. But when it comes to touches and yardage and catches, Saquon.
But they're going to get blasted. And I'd be shocked if they scored more than 10 points.
How has Saquon done in the games where they've been blasted recently?
He touches the ball 35 times.
And gets decent fantasy production. He's not the RB1 of fantasy football. He's not the kingpin that he once was, but he's still productive. I think you're going to need multiple touchdowns from Gus Edwards, and against the Browns, I just don't see it.
All right, it's
speed round time. I hope the listeners are prepared. No small talk allowed, no stammering, no Bluetooth, no speakerphones, no dumb questions, no car door beeps or distracting noises. And do not argue with Dave because he is an expert. All right,
let's go.
Those are rules.
Donnie, speed round, go.
James Cook, Keaton Mitchell, C.J. Stroud, or Josh Dobbs?
If you're giving me just the running backs, it's Cook, and the quarterback, it's Stroud.
JoJo, speed round, go.
Doug.
Stammered.
What?
You can't stammer.
No.
DJ, speed round, go.
KJ Osborne or Josh Downs?
They're both hurt. They both might not play. Find another wide receiver.
Let's go Cooper. Speed round, go.
Lawrence, Purdy, or Howell?
I believe I have Purdy ranked the highest of the 3. I do. Brock Purdy.
Doug, speed round, go.
All right, should I accept?
Is that all right?
Small talk.
Small talk.
Yeah.
Go to Cole.
Unnecessary.
Speed round, go.
Gus Edwards or Brian Robinson?
That's how it's done.
I think you meant Deontay Foreman or Brian Robinson. I would go with Foreman.
Go to
He said
Mike.
Gus
No,
Edwards.
he said
though.
Gus Edwards.
Oh, he said Gus? Then I'd go with Robinson.
I thought you were
Sorry.
just stumping for Deontay Foreman.
I'm just making up names
I
now.
kind of liked it, Dave.
Start James Conner.
I like
Start
your
him.
style.
Mike, speed round, go.
PPR, Tyler Lockett, Deebo Samuel, Deshaun Watson, Derek Carr.
Oh, what the hell is this with 2 questions and 2 quarterbacks and 2 wide receivers?
Too confusing.
It's Debo and Carr.
I mean, you're confused.
People are sneaking in multiple questions in
My-
speed
my
round.
brain actually hurts.
They're not even saying like start or sit between the 2. They're just throwing 4 names at me,
They're
and I'm
scared
trying to
to
make
death.
sense.
Yeah,
of it
they
all.
are scared.
Like I'm supposed to save the world here. I don't know if I can do that.
They
for
should
you.
be scared.
Let's go to Sam. Speed round, go. All right, let's
Speakerphone or Bluetooth, I could hear it.
That's
go
correct.
to Kyle. Speed round, go.
Veteran receiver comeback, Des Bryant, Des Nuts.
All right, so
it's
dumb.
terrible.
All right, Dave, you'll
I
probably
mean-
think it's a dumb question again, but Superflex League, of course, I got Fields as my second quarterback, but I've got O'Connell or Bajent.
That's terrible, Bajent.
I knew he was going to say it.
All right, Dave.
All right.
Best of luck to your 2-7 teams. Hopefully, there's not many of them, and let's get some dubs this weekend.
Yeah, we need some dubs.
Good luck. God bless. Good job with your fantasy teams. Hope you win this week. I'm just doing like the callers are doing and saying a lot of random stuff.
Love it.
Thank
All right,
you,
Dave,
buddy.
We'll talk to you
All
soon.
right, see you, Dave.